All listing agents are exactly the same. Therefore, sellers should just go with the cheapest one. Is that true? If not, what do you look for in a listing agent? And listing agents, what is your value proposition? We're going to help you come up with that today by asking a series of questions. So stay tuned if you want to develop, enhance your value proposition to sellers. Hey guys, it's Mike Ferrante here, and we are doing Tuesday training. It's that time again. Every Tuesday, 11:30 Eastern Time, we'll hop on a Zoom. You can join us live. Just email me, mike@21mike.com. I'll send you the link. And of course, we post these things to YouTube, Facebook. We're live on Facebook. Hi, Facebook. Audio goes on the podcast, Free Beer and Real Estate. And if you have a topic you want us to hit, someone emailed me a couple of really good topics a couple of weeks ago, and those will be coming up. Next week, teaser, we're going to have Ian Jones on the show, and we're going to talk about the mental health aspect of real estate for agents because this is a consuming job. I mean, people don't realize it. I was just watching Million Dollar Listing. My wife turns that on when I come home for some reason, and she watches it all day, leaves it on for the dog. But I'm watching one of the agents. I'm not even going to say his name because I'm not a huge fan, so I'm not going to say who it is. But it's a he, and he was talking about like what a stress and strain real estate is on his life, and how he's actually seeing a therapist in the show. And Ian is going to come on and get a little vulnerable and talk about the mental health aspect of real estate, how demanding it can be on our time. I would hazard a guess that it's probably up there in the number of relationships that end in divorce and whatnot. My teammate Mike Pillow is very involved in his church and an organization that's all about family and so forth. So it's really easy to lose yourself in the business. But this week, we're going to talk about value proposition for listing agents. And I started off with a rather insane statement saying we're all the same, because frankly, that's what the public often thinks when talking about real estate agents. Hey, you guys don't do much. You put a sign in the yard, you put it in the MLS, and then you pray for the phone to ring. That's what we call the old three P's of selling homes. Put a sign in the yard, place it in the MLS, and then pray for the phone to ring. Now, I would argue there's a new four P's, and there's probably five or six now if we really thought about it. But I say now we prepare the home. That's really a good value proposition that we offer. We promote it, our marketing plan, which I'm going to talk about. We price it correctly. Yes, there are third-party portals, but how many times are you seeing people have an incorrect opinion of value about their property? And then the fourth P is the prospecting for buyers, because I would argue that as a listing agent, that should be one of your value propositions. If you're not actively prospecting for more buyers, I think you're possibly leaving money on the table for the sellers, but also missing a big segment of what your value proposition could be for sellers. All right. So I want you guys to think about like, how are you different? And I'm going to do the same thing I did last week with buyer's agents. If you missed that session, go back a week and watch that. But I think it's really important to have some kind of presentation, even a list that you give to sellers that says, this is my value proposition. This is why you should hire me. Because absent that, if we're all exactly the same, sellers are going to go with the cheapest agent. Then we become a commodity. It's like gas. If you don't have a strong feeling about the gas that you put in your car, for example, and there's two gas stations, one across the street from each other, and one is 10 cents less than the other, it's pretty hard for a gas station to develop brand loyalty in any way because gas is gas for the most part. I get it. Mike Pillow's like in his seat, shifting around like, oh no, Mike, I won't put a certain type of gas in that Mustang because it's got to be this type of gas. But that's what I'm talking about. Okay, that's exactly what I'm talking about is how do you take something that seems generic and turn it into not a commodity, something where we can say, look, we're special because it looks like I'm fading out. This is hilarious with my I gotta not wear this shirt anymore. All right, but anyway, to develop your value proposition, I suggest going in your favorite AI. I still use ChatGPT. I'm also using Claude, love Claude, and create a list of questions. Have your favorite AI ask you a list of questions to help develop your value proposition. And I'm going to just kind of spin through these real quick and talk about them because frankly, all our value propositions are different. Okay, mine's different than yours. It's different than Mike's. It's different than Grant's. It's different than Scott's down in San Antonio, where he's a rock star broker with a group of agents who undoubtedly each of them have different value propositions. So start with the basics. Start with something like number one, why should a seller hire you instead of five other agents they could call? What's different about you? And really stretch yourself here because if you're saying, oh, I give the best service or I work harder, that's not much of a value proposition, is it? Oh, I just work harder. I'm available 24/7. That kind of ties into the mental health show that we're going to do next week because it's really an easy, slippery slope to go down where you don't have a life anymore. And, your your significant other is saying, look, it seems like you're always on your phone. You're always working. I only get the leftover time, and that's not where you want to be. So what truly is your value proposition? What's different about you than other agents, especially those competing in your market? I would talk about marketing. Okay, if all we're doing is putting something in the MLS, that's a discount broker in my mind. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's sellers out there who say, I don't care. I think it's all basically the same. Marketing's marketing. We throw it in the MLS and then we just see what happens. So what about a marketing plan? What do you do before it goes on the market? What do you do to help me before I even list my home? And then what do you do during the time that it's on the market? I'm thinking preparation of the home, pricing analysis, staging guidance, repairs. Are you the agent that knows contractors in the area, that you make recommendations? By the way, are you allowed to do that? I know that some people are afraid or hesitant to give referrals because sometimes those referrals don't pan out and it reflects poorly on them. I'm not advocating one way or the other. I'm just asking the question, what is this part of your value proposition? Do you help coordinate vendors? Do you arrange photography, video? Do you do floor plans? Do you help with the timing of everything? Are you a coordinator? Are you a consultant? Or are you the agent that puts up a sign and has a basic plan and maybe you compete on price? Are you the cheapest agent in your market? Look, these are all value propositions, right? I'm not saying, and of course on our shows, we don't talk about how we charge, what we charge and all that stuff. There's a whole range of prices, right? There's flat fee brokers that are out there saying, hey, just pay us a flat fee. You can do all the work. You could go on Zillow and they don't charge anything as far as I know. For sale by owner. Make your own sign, get a magic marker and make your own sign. So sellers have a range of price from zero to whatever. And where do you fall there? And what's the value that you provide to earn that? Here's a great question. How do you help sellers make more money, not just sell it? Do you have any special pricing strategies, negotiation skills or experience? Are you a former military intelligence person, like a guy I know in Central Ohio that I always talk about? I must like that dude or something. I don't know. Uh, what about the types of properties you sell? Are you a lakefront luxury agent like Mr. Pillow? Are you a construction expert like Grant? Are you Reggae Realtor Rural? Raw, we got to work. We got to work on your value proposition because while there's certainly a segment of people that might appreciate that about you, we have to ask like, what is your value proposition beyond that? So what types of homes do you sell? Do you specialize in downtown condos? If you're in San Antonio like Scott, do you specialize in historic homes? Not really sure if you have historic homes there, Scott, but that's just something I'm grasping at. I'm thinking
We
Alamo.
do.
You do? Yeah, I figured. you know, do you sell was it Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett's homes? Maybe those are still there. I don't know. But seriously, think about what types of properties do you specialize in? Are you a condo expert, downtown, lakefront? Are you good at second homes, vacation homes? Like what is it that makes you special? And then the next is how about the proof of concept? Do you have a lot of reviews? Do you not have reviews? Do you have numbers? Do you know your numbers? In other words, how long does it take you to sell a home compared to the rest of the market? Or how much do you get for your listings compared to the rest of the market? How about other types of specialty? Luxury, downsizers, probate, investors, relocations, first-time sellers, outdated homes, people downsizing, seniors. Like, what is exactly your value proposition? I love using AI for this because it's going to press you. It's going to ask you questions and say, really dig deep. Again, I'll go back to number one, saying, well, I give the great service. I work harder than anyone else. Is that really a value proposition? I would argue that it's not. How about your communication style? Does that make you special? Now, going back to marketing for a second, do you have a written marketing plan? If they're interviewing three agents and you're the only one that doesn't come in with a written marketing plan, how do you think that makes you look? Do you come with a written pre-listing package? If you guys don't know what a pre-listing package is, I think you're already behind the game. There are agents who show up with a pre-listing package even before the appointment. They've already made an impression on the seller, and that probably has a lot of value to them. It shows that they're on top of it. We're using AI to help us generate our pre-listing packages, by the way. We should do a session on that. What problems do you solve that sellers don't often see coming? I love that one because I think it's Tom Ferry who says, whoever solves the most problems wins the most customers. What problems are you solving? And what kind of seller gets the most value out of working with you? Military relocation, luxury, investor. Think about it. And what I would do, unless you're a brand new agent, look at your past clients and say, who was the most happy with what I did? Who did I go above and beyond for? It's a funny story. I was just talking to my eighth grade English teacher last night, and he was reminding me something that he taught us all those years ago. And he said that anecdotes stick. They make people remember you and remember your message. So, as I have worked throughout almost 2 decades in real estate, I think the stories that you have where you say, I helped this person and I did this, this, and this, and here is the result. Here's what happened. I helped this person with a repair issue. We negotiated this and that. Here's what happened. I had a seller once who was really mad when a half price offer came in, and yet we still managed to make a deal. I was just thinking about that. Sellers who are offended by offers. Do you have the ability to turn an offensive offer, which I don't know why any offer would be offensive, but hey, I get it. It's an emotional process for them. It shouldn't be for us. Do you have the ability to take an offensive offer and turn it into a deal? So again, go through this process, answer these questions, and tell me what your value proposition is. Email it to me if you want, mike@21mike.com, but put it in a form that you can give to your potential sellers, because it's not just having a value proposition. Part two of that is conveying it. If you have a value proposition, but you can't explain it to your potential clients, what good is it? So what is your value proposition and how are you conveying it? How do you communicate it? Put it together, make a beautiful marketing package, and feel free to send it to me. Sit down with your team lead, your broker, your manager. They should be able to help you with this, but every agent should have their own unique value proposition. That's all I have for you today, guys. I'm going to open it up to the floor because we've got some brilliant minds on the call today. Scott, you got anything to add today?
Uh, well, I think that a little bit of it is showmanship from the standpoint that, uh, okay, let's just take the pre-listing package. Uh, 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 maybe what the folder that it's in looks like. Does it look sharp? Is it, just plain Jane? I mean, uh, sometimes, I mean, when people are looking for a book in a bookstore, what attracts them is the cover of the book. The book itself may be not very good.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think that's a lot of it. And then, uh, with some people, it really gets down. I mean, this is just old school, and everybody on here knows about it. But it really gets down to listening more than you talk, and being sure, somehow being sure that they understand that you understand. I,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's just plain, uh, sometimes it's really just clicking with the people.
Yeah. And Scott, I think it's knowing your audience too. So, if I go in to a listing appointment wearing a suit and tie and shiny shoes, and I'm going to meet some very humble blue collar business owner who doesn't appreciate that, I may turn them off. And by the same token, if Mike, shows up in his hoodie for a lakefront luxury listing with a doctor, they may look at that and say, this isn't our guy. And it's the same thing, Scott, you mentioned books. One of the things that I am always intrigued by are wine bottles. So there's all these different labels on the wine bottles, and some of them are very creative. I remember buying one that had a picture of Godzilla on it. There's one that's called Freak Show, and it has circus depictions on it. And I remember thinking, I'm falling for marketing. This is a really interesting looking label, and sure, I might like the wine, but I bought it because it had a cool label. So all of these things are valid. The car, the vehicle you show up in, the way you dress, the way your marketing materials look. Do you think a luxury seller might have different expectations for how you and your marketing materials look when you show up to their house? The answer is yes, obviously.
Well, it's a good point. I think I'm not necessarily addressing when I say this anybody on our call, but uh, I do think that overall the industry has maybe gotten a little bit too casual in our appearance, the way we dress, particularly guys, not so much the women as much as the guys, you know.
I would agree.
And
Yeah, I
I
would
and,
agree.
and I
Yeah.
know, I know, like for example, Mike Pillow, he's uh, his friends. He doesn't have to. I mean, I wear a shirt and tie every day, but I'm just in the office and not making calls. If I was calling on one of his fishing buddies, I probably wouldn't wear a tie. So kind of adapt, but I'm just talking in general. I think maybe the industry, has gotten a little too casual.
I would agree, Scott. And as I was putting on this shirt that made me blend into my background today, I thought to myself, should I be dressing up a little more for my shows? And today I didn't because it's not Texas hot, but it's like 80 some degrees and humid. And I thought, well, I'm going to be running around doing errands today. So today you get a t-shirt and this here zip up. So, but point taken, we all need to look at our audiences and decide, are we dressed for the job that we want? Yep, that's the bottom line. Well, thank you. So again, next week, Ian Jones is joining us, and we're going to talk about the mental health side of real estate. And I think it's important, like when we do time blocking, Scott, we always start with the personal stuff first. Like I know a lot of people like to start, well, I'm going to get up at this time and do my workout and then, get ready and start making phone calls. I push back and I say, let's put the vacations, your family time, your kid time, your spouse time on the calendar first and defend that time. And then maybe work is second or third. Religious time might go on there first. Maybe Sundays or Saturdays, or whatever day, like maybe that goes on even before work. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And Ian has some great stories because he was doing hundreds of deals over the course of a few years. And, it really shook him, and so he's got some great stories to talk about that. So I'm looking forward to that. And if you guys want to hit me up, it's Mike at 21mike.com. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mike.